What was wrong with Glade UHC and my hopes for the relaunch? Don't get me wrong, I loved playing on Glade and I want it to succeed, but there's a reason why the server needs to be shut down so early after its initial release. Glade started off good, seeing fills of almost 50 players, and there seemed to be genuine excitement for the server. It came at a good time with all of the hackers on Hypixel and the moderation seemed really good. Bugs were being fixed quickly and the community feedback was being listened to, but it quickly went south. In this video, I'm going to be giving my own personal opinion as to why Glade didn't find success in its first attempt, and give suggestions for what could make Glade the great server it was supposed to be. I've never owned a server to this scale, so I won't pretend to know everything, and remember, this is just my opinion. If you disagree, please leave a comment telling me why, rather than simply leaving a dislike. I'm excited for the discussions that could come from this video. The background footage is just an old Hypixel game that I didn't record my own microphone in. I'd like to start this video off by pointing out something that Glade did right, and then I'll move on to talking about what I think they did wrong. Glade did a good job on the kits and custom crafts for the most part. Being a server that's so shamelessly a Hypixel ripoff, it must have been hard coming up with their own custom crafts and kits without stealing directly from Hypixel. There were some changes that were, in my opinion, unnecessary yet harmless, like the arrow craft recipe just being tilted diagonally and the hotbit craft requiring 2 extra coal. The similarities are so obvious that the changing the recipe so slightly isn't hiding much. But Glade built upon so many recipes and made the crafts a lot better than Hypixel. The Warrior's Blade being an unchanging sharpness 1 was a massive improvement on the Apprentice Sword, and crafts like the Easy Enchant Table and Sugarcane Dupe make a lot more sense than they did on Hypixel, but there was one craft that nobody seemed to like. Harp was an easy to craft, insane sword that if held by the right player was the ticket to winning any game. Harp is Glade's answer to Hypixel's Anduril and adds 1 level of speed to your movement while you hold it, while also dealing the same amount of damage as a sharpness 2 iron sword. The speed being a movement increase rather than a potion effect meant that it stacked on top of head speed, meaning Harp users can run at enemies with speed 3 after using a head or golden head. It was a legendary, which is Glade's own version of extra ultimates, so it wasn't a cheap sword to buy. But the first problem with Glade's extra ultimates in general is that the only requirement to purchase one is having the coins. There was no need to have anything else maxed out as long as you had the coins, you could get one. Extra ultimates seem to work in Hypixel as it takes a lot of time before you're able to get one. It really does take an experienced player who has sunk time into the game to be able to buy one. Removing this requirement just doesn't make much sense to me, and people didn't like Harp, so they complained. There's a suggestions channel on the Glade UHC Discord and it's extremely active, but messages are never pinned and there's never any way of knowing if anything being written in there is even being read, never mind taken into consideration. The word harp has been written at least 99 times in the suggestions chat, and there's never been any mention of what the owners plan to do about it. It was announced a while back that the owners were looking for ideas for what a potential trapper kit could include, and so many ideas were put into the suggestions chat, but since there wasn't a form of simple communication between the owners and the players making these suggestions, they went unnoticed. Until the owner once again asked for suggestions for a potential trapper kit, leading to players posting the same ideas that they had already suggested because they had no idea whether or not their idea was already dismissed or just not read at all. A common suggestion from Glade players is that they need to work on advertisement. The one I read the most was a voting system, or adding the servers to MC servers lists. A really interesting suggestion that I read was trying to get Badline to create a Glade UHC cape, which would inevitably increase popularity, and I even suggested myself to pay certain Hypixel YouTubers to livestream and make videos on Glade, specifically for advertisement purposes, but none of the suggestions were ever even acknowledged. I haven't even went on to the biggest complaint yet. The most common complaint I've read in the Discord, that once again was never addressed by the owners, was pay to win. With a $15 rank, a player will instantly gain 5,000 coins and have a 2x coins booster forever, on top of a free 3x booster. A $25 rank will instantly receive 10,000 coins upon purchasing the rank, and have a 3x coins booster forever, on top of a free 5x coins booster. Once the player has purchased this $25 rank, they're given the option to pay $10 a month to change their rank to gaining a free 10,000 coins monthly, and 1 free 10x booster per month, on top of a 5x coin booster all the time. Bear in mind it's 100 coins for a kill, 250 coins for staying alive for 15 minutes and 1500 coins for a win. With a constant 2x booster that's 200 for a kill, 500 for staying alive and 3000 coins for a win. With a constant 3 times booster, that's 300 for a kill, 750 for staying alive, and 4,500 coins for a win. With a constant 5 times booster, that's 500 for a kill, 1,250 coins for staying alive for 15 minutes, which is almost the same amount a regular player receives when winning a game, and 7,500 coins for winning a game. Boosters are also available from the shop at $3 for a 3 times booster, $5 for a 5 times booster, and $10 for a 10 times booster. And these stack with the donator's constant boosters, so without going into detail for each method of gaining coins, that's 3,750 coins for staying alive for just 5 minutes after PvP for a monthly subscriber with an active 10 times booster. That's just insane, and leaves non-donators with no chance but to donate or to stay left behind. When Glade was first released, I saw this as an opportunity to start taking YouTube a bit more seriously, and while nobody forced me, I felt that I had to buy the $25 rank in order to have a chance at consistently getting videos for the server. Now, $25 isn't a lot of money to me. I'm 20 years old with a part-time job, but thinking back to when I was in high school, $25 is a lot of money, especially since this is most likely the average age of Glade players. Either they're going to spend this ridiculous amount of money for a Minecraft rank just to keep up, or they're going to feel like they don't even have a chance to keep up at all. It's a hard thing to get around. Glade is a server and servers cost money. Donations are going to be an essential contribution to the server's longevity, but the common complaint is that they should have been implemented at a later time once most new players have managed to land on their feet a little with the server, and I agree. All businesses come out as a loss for the first while, and if we look at Glade as what it essentially is, a business, the owner should have been prepared to make a loss at the beginning in order to gain the player base and credibility they are looking for before introducing some of these pay to win elements. As for what they can do now that so many people have already spent their money, I'm not too sure. If they remove or nerf the rewards that people donated for in the first place, there's going to be outrage, but if they do nothing, then there will be the same issues that we're already facing. Maybe the legendary crafts could change price depending on the rank of the player, so that it takes someone with a constant 3 times booster 3 times the amount of coins to purchase the legendaries, but they can still use their 3 times coins to purchase kits and upgrades at normal prices. I don't know, this is just a suggestion, because the complaints about pay to win always seem to look back around to complaints about harp. The sword is too common, and the reason for this is pay to win. On the 11th of February, Glade posted on their Twitter and Discord announcements that they will be having a triple coins weekend that coming weekend, accompanied by a massive content update and a giveaway for a 5 times booster. I can't check how many retweets that the giveaway got because the tweet has since been removed, but this was a massive announcement and everyone was insanely excited for the update and the triple coins. The weekend comes around and nothing. The Discord is filled with questions. Where's the update? When are we getting the triple coins? No response. Just questions after questions. Anytime staff are asked, they just respond, I don't know. I can only assume that the communication between the owners and the staff was just as bad at this point. On the 19th of February, which is the Wednesday after the update was supposed to come out, and it's over a week after the original announcement was made, we hear from the owner. This is when we are told that the update had to be pushed back due to changes in our developer team. While I understand that stuff has clearly been going on in the background, I can't appreciate this as a good excuse. Picture this, you're a server owner, you've been working really hard on a content update for your players. Remember, I have no doubt that they were hard at work behind the scenes. It's Tuesday and it's time to announce the update that will be released on Saturday. Wouldn't you make sure that the update was almost ready, if not completely ready, 4 days before you promise it's going to come out? I can't understand why this announcement would have been made if a simple change in a development team can halt an update for so long. I respect that the owners and the developers will have been working super hard, but don't announce something that isn't going to be ready. Once the update was pushed back, some players decided to create an SMP to play together in order to have something to play until the Glade update came out. This was the final nail on the head for Glade, as the 10 people who might have been online after the bad news weren't even online anymore, and they were all playing SMP together. I don't think any games happened throughout the following week at all, a handful at most. The following weekend comes around, and most players have the assumption that Phils will return at the weekend, and maybe even the content update will arrive. Still no players, still no update, still no further word from any of the owners. People are getting tired of the lack of transparency, and owners are being tagged in the Discord and explanations are being demanded as to what's going on. Sunday of that weekend rolls around, and in the evening the owner makes an announcement apologising for the lack of transparency, but not much else. He reiterates that the content update has been delayed due to the change in the developer team, but doesn't actually provide any other information. He finally addresses the advertisement suggestions, but simply says that they'll be working on advertisement over the coming days. Overall, the announcement didn't actually provide any new information. Over the next few days, the server remained at 0 players, and we didn't hear anything until early this morning, the 25th of February. The owner announced that they're super excited to announce that the final stages of Glade v2 are starting, and in preparation for this massive update, they will be closing the server for a couple of weeks. I personally think they could have handled this thing a lot better if they had tackled it as soon as they knew the update wouldn't be coming out, but I agree that this is the right route to take now. In the future, upon release of Glade v2, I would hope for actual transparency from the owners, not just an apology for lack of. I'd hope for the suggestion chat to be actually monitored, with admins and owners pinning suggestions that they plan to take forward. And I'd hope for them to find a way of balancing things, now that they have already introduced pay to win at such an early stage in a server's release. And for them to heavily focus on advertising. If they get these things right, along with a successful content update, then I am confident that Glade v2 could potentially be Hypixel UHC's successor.